The Simone Feiler Podcast, giving authors a platform. Welcome to the podcast.
My pleasure today to be chatting with the author of About Decisions, a quick guide for anybody without a mentor. Grant Evans didn't have the luxury of a mentor to guide him in certain questions and areas of his life, and understood he probably wasn't alone, so he put pen to paper and also put Indey Salvestro's voice to his now available audiobook, About Decisions. Welcome to the Simone Feiler Podcast, Grant.
Thank you.
So, how did you find the audio experience working with us here at Audiobook Australia?
Very, very easy. I'd have to say it's beyond my expectations. I did interview with another company, and it was almost like it was difficult for them to deal with the customer. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, then I ended up talking to you, and it's been quite seamless all the way through. That you've told me what I needed to know, when I needed to know it, and prepared me well, and then gone and done your work again in a seamless manner, and come back with checks and updates and so on. But all of that's flowed really well. I mean, the only errors I found in the whole process were the errors that were in my text.
And you can always go back and fix them now.
Why did Indey say that? Oh, because I put it in the text. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's really great. I'm really happy to hear that, that you're happy with the outcome, and you're going to print now. So obviously you can amend those mistakes before going to print.
Yes.
Yeah.
Print.
Yeah. It's already in print now. Have you done that?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Oh, well done. That's exciting.
Well, I have a friend of mine that works at a university in Sydney, and when I was doing the final draft, he was one of my reviewers, and I sent it to him, and he said he read it in a day or so, and he went, "Tell me when you get these printed, because I want 10 for my team, because they really need to learn some of these
Wow.
basics."
That is feedback there. That's so good.
I mean, they're IT guys, like IT guys are always a bit funny. I work with them, so I know.
Shh, there might be some of them listening, Grant.
Yeah.
Well, that's such a compliment to you, and your work, and deservedly so. It's a fantastic book. But I want to go back about in your earlier life. How was life like growing up for you, without a mentor? And how was your younger years?
Very haphazard. I guess in reality, gut feeling and your own sense of morals and right and wrong help to. They're the only thing that helps keep you on the straight and narrow path. Because I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney, in about 4 or 5 different locations, most of which weren't worth living in, and surrounded by a lot of people who really were never going to go anywhere in life. So you could quite easily get into trouble in those environments. When I was about 15, I started hanging out with one of my friend's elder brothers, and he was a really, really wild child. And a friend of his had a car, and then they progressively found this sly grog shop where they'd go and buy beer. So I sort of got along with them. So I did that a couple of times, and just the conversation in the car and so on was really, really, really out there. And anyway, I finally decided off my own bat, I really can't afford to hang with these guys. Anyway, about 3 months later, there was a big story in the area that somebody was shot climbing through a window, breaking into a house.
Right.
And it was the mad brother that was shot and killed.
Wow.
I couldn't help but think, gosh.
You dodged a bullet.
If I'd been the kid in the car, I would have been the one going in the window. So, I mean, you can be really lucky, but as I say, with that, there was a gut feeling that "Phew, this is really out there, and I don't feel comfortable with it. So, trust your judgment."
Yeah, that's such a major decision to make at that age. 15 is very impressionable. And if you kind of want to hang with the cool guys, there's lots of kids who get waylaid hanging out with who they think are the cool guys, you know what I mean? And for you to be smart enough and obviously have that gut feeling to think this is not going to be ending well,
Yeah,
well done. So that was when pretty much your first major decision, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Well, to get out of there. So,
Yeah.
obviously, did you talk to anybody about that situation or did you
No,
just,
not at all. In fact, I don't think anybody knew I was hanging out with them in the middle of the night. So yeah, nobody was aware of it. And yeah, I probably wouldn't have anyway in those circumstances. But
mm.
yeah,
So
so,
I guess that would have been one aspect that you probably would have liked to have had someone to talk to about that situation, but obviously you made the right decision yourself. Is that when you realized that maybe having someone around you was important to talk to, like a mentor? Or when did that
no.
arise?
Oh, that was really really much later. Probably not until I was 40 something, and I was sitting in my office at the business that I had at the time, and there'd been massive international competition coming into Australia when Keating made various changes to the economy in the early 90s, and all of a sudden, the industry that I was in was completely opened up to everybody from Hong Kong, China, anywhere else in the world. And we just had our marketplace completely swamped.
Right.
And it left you in a position where, God Almighty, what's happening here? External conditions that you never ever expected. Maybe I could have been advised by somebody that I should, but it really was used. Like the whole industry actually disappeared. The local industry completely disappeared within about 7 or 8 years because
Wow.
basically all the big factories overseas were just so big and cheap on volume that they just annihilated our little marketplace.
Mm.
So yeah, I was sitting in the office trying to make decisions about critical things, a lot of critical things at the time, and feeling that again, I wish that there was somebody I could ask that could give me a reliable answer that would, at least let me go in a safe direction. But
Mm.
in the end, all of that ended up being, yeah, as you'd imagine, a total financial loss in the end because it was just such a big tsunami of events that, yeah, even if you had a lot, if you actually had a lot of money at the time, you
You
would have just
still couldn't
bailed.
compete.
Well, you would have just, you might have had a choice then to just bail immediately rather than hang on and try and
Mm.
get the best out of a completely diminished market. So those sort of times make you feel very lonely and yeah, just to get some pointers from somewhere or to know somebody that's been through similar before
Mm.
would have been nice. But that was where I really started thinking about that. Because any decisions I was making were going to be critical and find the sort of the medium term view was, hey, I've got to get out of this somehow.
Yeah.
But in the medium term view, it was, making big decisions that how can I absolutely make the best of this, right? How can I make the best job of it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Did
yeah,
you document it at that time about your decision making
I,
processes?
I, I did actually. The basic little 7 steps
Yeah, that
um,
are in the book.
I decided on, and I would sort of make sure I push, knowing that most of the decisions I was making were critical, just to push myself through that every time to make sure, not on every decision, but on the important ones, to make sure that I was doing the best that I could and that um, that I'd made myself aware of everything I needed to before I said, right, let's go.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
So the 7 steps, you go into great detail about them, but they're identify the need, review the subject, prepare a plan, say go or no go, execute your plan, monitor progress, and confirm results. How, did you go through a few of your own decisions to actually document that these steps are the best ones to, make the right decision for yourself?
Um,
Or was it a process of elimination, maybe with some other things that were in there that were eradicated before got to the final 7?
yeah, well, I think because that's a little graphic. I've always found a picture's worth 1,000 words is so abundantly true. So I just sketched that out or something like it, and then I just kept on using it and trying it. And I may not, I don't know if I got it right the first time or not, but I then ended up where I'm at, like not long after, and found that all worked. I mean, one of the things about that is that, as I say in the book, if you, well, you can see it in the hard copy, but you'll see that most of the work is done up front in the the first section, and the second section is the vast bulk of the work. To look at everything to do with the background, who's going to be involved, and to really think it through. Now, finding a whole lot of little decisions doesn't matter, but the more important the decision, the more important it is that you go through that almost as a tick list and say, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's a risk. I better make sure that person is going to be on board. Otherwise, any further planning or implementation is just going to be dead in the water. So, and that goes for business and personal decisions, right?
Yeah, definitely.
If your wife says she doesn't like humidity and you say, but I want to move to Queensland,
You need to go through those 7 steps.
and that might well tell you that unless you want to find a new wife, you better just think of something else.
Oh, bless you, Grant. So when did the idea of the book, obviously you've been working with these steps and refining them. Were you writing it in notes and it just, how did it come?
I collected a lot of notes or made a lot of notes over the years, and then I don't know, probably 15 years ago, I sat down to write it and got about whatever third of the way through and went, no, this isn't working, and put it away. And it was basically thinking about how should it be structured and how should it be presented. And back at the very start of the process, I went to Amazon and found the 50 books that had the highest star ratings, 5 or 4.5 stars.
Awesome decision.
And I obtained them all and went through them. And the main thing I was horrified about was that there was only 2 of them that I drew actual notes from.
Wow.
And they were very, very, very good. And the rest of it was content, or what I call content, which is just words for the sake of words.
Right.
Like I've put in whatever it is, 50, 60 pages, all the core elements that one should think about to a degree, whether you already know about it or you really need to go and learn what I mean in detail because of your particular decision. I think it's only an hour and a half, an audio book. Now, one of the books that I reviewed, and my notes actually say it was utter rubbish, is an audio book that's up there, and it's 23 hours long.
Whoa, that's a long.
It does not cover the subject thoroughly, right? Now, mine's short, but it's concise. Hey, these are all the issues you should know about. If you don't know about them, go and learn about them.
Yeah.
Go and buy a book on any of. Well, you'd be able to buy a book pretty well on any of them.
Yeah.
But you don't want to read 60 books. But if you know you have weaknesses in dealing with people in the family or important loved ones or whatever, and you keep on making the same mistake over and over, go and find something that talks about that, because there'll certainly be books out there that can really lift your skills in that area.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a pretty good decision going through that, and listening or reading the other books on Amazon. I don't know how it would be listening to an audiobook or, reading a book that takes 23 hours to listen to, because most decisions are fairly critical. So that's probably a bonus of yours being so concise, is, you can listen to it very quickly if you've got no one to talk to in particular, because I mean, it's all about not having a mentor to make the best decision in the smallest amount of time.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, you open up your book with a line from Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which I really liked, and it really set a good sort of opening for your book. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? Asked Alice. That depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat.
Yeah.
So why did you choose this piece, Grant?
Well, I must admit, there's a book that I reference at the very end, which is the best book on the subject by a massive amount. A brilliant, brilliant piece of work by a couple of academics in America. And I did see that in their book, and I went, that is just gold, right? It's just in a similar sense, the cover artwork that you arranged for me. That's the same quality. It's right. This is what it's about. This is what it looks like with the cover art.
Yeah.
And that statement from Lewis Carroll was just perfect. And I mean, I think somewhere further on in the book there's an example of somebody saying something like, I have a lot of trouble getting out of something like have a lot of trouble getting out of relationships. And I comment where I bring it up that the question and the answer are all in the one sentence. The person's answering their own question, but like similar to Alice.
Yeah.
Or the rabbit. Yeah.
Ultimately, do you think there are any really bad decisions? Because I mean, that quote kind of says, it really doesn't matter in the end, does it?
Ah, well, it's more. Oh, I don't know. I think the main way we would judge a good decision is good consequences.
Hmm.
So if if you have bad consequences, then you have to challenge. Well, you should be challenging yourself to say, "Hey, could I have done this a different way?"
Very true.
I mean,
Very true.
I sort of think about it like an own goal. If in football, if they're playing the soccer game and it's 1-1, and then there's a kerfuffle around the goal mouth, and the attackers are trying to get the ball across the line, and it's actually one of the defending players who taps it the wrong way, that being an own goal.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you see in games, it's absolutely horrifying for all fans, but you imagine the way the person feels who did that, and you can also imagine that they could be thinking, I should have got that guy when he was further out, right?
Yeah.
Right. But you can't go back on it. But yeah, if the consequences are bad, then you do have to challenge yourself to say, can I avoid that or do a lot better in the future or make a better decision about that? If it's a repetitive thing.
Definitely. Definitely. So with your 7 factors, excuse me, why did you decide that these were the ones that really were the crucial ones to come to the right decision?
Because I see them all as being key points. I guess you could say the critical part. Yeah, identifying the need. There's quite a lot of subject headings in that section,
Yeah.
and that's getting to the point of saying, should it be me that's making this decision? Right? If not, stop. Right? And then you review the subject. Having reviewed the subject, and can be all sorts of conditions around that. You might see more and more and more and more and more that you don't like, and you think, nah, No.
Yeah.
uh, and then even then preparing a plan. As you're preparing a plan, you can again discover things that mightn't have been apparent before. But when you start thinking around, oh, I didn't realise there was a competitor over there, or I didn't realise
Yeah.
there were already four painters in this town. Uh, so maybe setting up another shop isn't a good way to go. Um, so again, it's forcing you through to say, make sure you're looking at all the space, gathering all the information you need to, and then if it's going to be a no, when you get to the go no go, then so be it.
Yeah.
You haven't wasted time, you haven't wasted resources and energy and so on. You've identified up front if it's really valid or not.
You've structured it almost like a business plan, with just about decisions. It's a very clever book and very insightful, and it's also very introspective. I mean, you go on various topics about, looking on the guilt side of things and, knowing who the people are that you're dealing with, understanding their personality types. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's very comprehensive.
Yeah, well, one of the things it might be a bit like a business plan, but one of the main points that allowed me to get to a point of presenting it and finishing it and being happy with it was generally speaking completely avoiding business, just making it about the concepts themselves.
Right.
And some can apply to business or home or whatever, but to go to too far into business, I mean, there's Gordian books around already, and a lot of those have philosophies of how you get on or not in business. And I just wanted to keep away from all that. It's just too
Yeah.
messy.
Yeah, well, you
Um,
don't go into the details of nutting out of business, but just like presenting a plan, because obviously me running my business, I was always worried thinking I have to do this business plan. Everyone's got a business plan and how to do it, but um, it basically comes down to what you've written in your book about decisions, is about making decisions and having a look at those things like you've just suggested. You know what I mean?
yeah,
To me, that seems like a really good business plan, because once you start getting into the financials and everything, it starts. I need an accountant to do that stuff.
yeah. Well, I've been involved in a few business plans over the years, and one of the things that I found very quickly, even though it wasn't particularly pointed out as being important by anybody, um, is to do the marketing plan first,
Yeah.
right? And if that stacks up, because there is a massive effort in the rest of it, and it's totally pointless. If you don't know who your customers are going to be, what you're going to be selling them, how many levels of it, what profitability there is, etc., on what you are, selling to the world,
Yeah,
that's not right. The rest of it is just
that's right. It
accounting,
won't work.
accounting paperwork. So, and often business plan models start the other way around, and you've got to go through all this horrible finance stuff.
Yeah.
You end up with M for marketing, and it's like, no, guys, this is wrong. That's the only one that matters.
Yeah. And now
Um,
that's a decision there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Who do you reckon is going to benefit the most from either listening or reading your book, Grant?
It's funny. I've had quite a few very well educated and experienced people read it, and just about all of them have said, that a lot of it is, oh yeah, I know that, but there were one or two things, and those one or two things often turn out to be things where they know they actually have weaknesses and they actually repetitively run into problems with it
Mm,
uh, in that area, whereas they don't in all the other areas. They're all comfortable and know their way around. Um, but as far as the audience is concerned, the reason it's small and therefore cheap compared to most books around is that if a 15-year-old wants to buy it, or a 20-year-old or whatever, there's no impediment whatsoever to do it because it's pretty cheap. Uh, they're not going to make any errors. They don't have to decide which is the best $50 book before they buy it, or the best $25 audio book.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
And they
one.
can
Like,
understand it very quickly as well in an hour and a half.
exactly, and then go and dig deeper as you need to.
Mm.
In the library or buy another book or whatever. But I mean, libraries are fantastic, and yeah,
I also think that's a benefit because in today's age, there's so much that you can access online, on social media and various websites and games and, Snapchat and TikTok and all of those, that there's a lot of influence that may not necessarily be, the right the right information that you're getting. It's not someone that you can trust necessarily. So I mean, you've obviously been through the process not having a mentor to write this book, so it comes from a place of your heart that the young people would benefit from listening to it to find, the answer within themselves.
yes. Oh, absolutely. It's got to be within yourself and with to your own values and beliefs. Um, but yeah, the core basics of it are a good sort of jogging of the memory, just to be sure you're going down the right path.
Excellent. And we had a quick chat off air. You were saying that you just had a contact with a chap from IT who's decided that he wants to purchase quite a few copies of it.
Yes. Yep.
That's exciting.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, so well done. Hopefully you'll get some good feedback from the audiobook. Have you heard anything? It's been out for a little while.
Not yet. Apparently, all the systems they run take a while to pick up and so on. So,
Yeah, yeah. And
for a while.
how did you think? I mean, I think I sent you three or four voices, and you chose Indie. What was the reason that you chose Indie for it?
I couldn't tell you exactly. I listened to them all and went, that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, who knows? But it sounded like the right voice. I guess particularly, as I said to you at the time, that I didn't particularly want to narrate it because I don't know particularly what I sound like compared to anybody else. But I must sound a little bit older than 15. And Indy sounded a lot closer to 15. So I thought
right.
that was the best way to go.
So do you think that it would be most beneficial for, the 15-year-olds?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of need. Yeah, yeah. If you've got need, I haven't done I haven't done any recent research on it. But when I did look around quite a while ago, um, yeah, I couldn't find anything like this that was simple, straightforward, clean, cheap, but gets the job done. And as I say, you need to dig deeper. You can broaden your self-education from there.
Yeah. So you found a little hole there and decided that you were going to fill that niche.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, if not a lot of people do read it or listen to it, and they benefit from it, I will be very, very happy.
Oh,
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah.
So, well, the audio book is pretty much up everywhere. I know it's definitely on Audible already, but if not, it'll be everywhere within the next, month or so. And what about your printed copy? Where can people grab a copy of that?
That's up on Amazon
Oh,
and it's, as a Kindle book as well.
awesome. And can people contact you? Are you on social media or online or?
I'm not on social media, but yeah, I think it's in the audio. Yeah, it is. I've put my email address in there, right?
Awesome.
Because I would like feedback. I mean, as much as I had, quite a few people review the text, the people often come back and say, "Oh, that's great, really, really good." Da, da, da. And what you're looking for in review is to say, well, you could have maybe treated that subject with a little bit more detail or whatever. So I really would like that feedback, and so my email address is in there in the book as
Awesome.
well,
Awesome.
so that I can improve it on the next version.
I'll also put it on the link below this, our podcast, so people can contact you with any feedback they might have. So, well, I'm really happy that you took some time out today to have a chat with me about your audiobook and your printed book, and congratulations. I think you've done a really good job, and just quietly, there were a few decisions that I actually went through the process with to make. So thank you for helping me, because it's not, and sometimes you might have a mentor, but maybe they're not the right mentor for a particular problem that you've got.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Yeah. So you rock, and it's been wonderful working with you. And I hope that you're happy with the outcome of the audiobook, and that, so are your listeners.
Really happy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining the Simone Feiler Podcast. What's your story? Contact Simone for a chat at brisbaneaudiobookproduction.com.